Hey everybody, welcome back to Ratty Tutorials. I'm going to start a brand new series titled the Blinky LED just to start with the basics about how to program Arduinos. We'll go line by line in the code so that you understand everything step by step. So we're first going to open up your Arduino IDE and let's go to Examples, Basics. We're going to start with the Blink LED project. So this code says I'm going to turn an LED on for 1 second and then off for 1 second and repeat. So right here, every Arduino project will start with a setup, which is where you kind of initialize all of your pins. You're saying, I want this to speak UART, or I'm going to make this pin an output or an input. And then you have your void loop right here, which is essentially your main code where everything runs in. So starting off with setup, they're saying pin mode, LED built in. I'm going to set that to an output. Now what this is doing is on your Arduino, this is my Arduino Uno, it's saying my built-in LED, which is pin 13 right here, it's this built-in LED, I'm going to set that as an output. Now we can change the code up here. Let's list this as our globals. And our global will say it is uint 8 underscore t, and I'm going to say LED pin is equal to 13. And you can make it a constant, which means that you're never going to change this value right here. It kind of saves memory for you in your Arduino for big projects. But make it a constant because you never want to change LED pin. It's always going to be 13. So now if I come in here in pin mode and instead of say LED built in, I say LED pin, it's essentially saying the exact same thing. I'm putting pin 13 right there. And I'm going to set it to an output. You can also set that to an input, but that's for later projects. So set it to an output. And then in our loop right here, we're going to say LED pin high, LED pin low. So I'm setting the pin high, turning the LED on, waiting for 1 second, turning it off, waiting for a second, and then my loop is just going to repeat this step over and over and over. Let's see it work in action. Alright, now we're going to talk about the circuit that you're going to build for the LED. It's very simple. You can use a voltage right here, and that's probably going to be 5 volts on our LED, or 5 volts on our Arduino. You can use 3.3 volts, whatever you want. Let me go back. So 5 volts here, and then it's going across the LED, and then a resistor, and then coming back to ground. Very simple. So choose your color of LED. I'm going to choose blue, because that's what I have right now. You could choose any color. And then now we're going to talk about the math involved to figure out what kind of resistor you should use right here. So let's go over to my handy dandy Excel chart right here. So I have LED, different colors you have right here, and then the voltages that these LEDs require to turn on. So these voltages are going to depend based off of the type of LED you bought, but these are generic voltages that almost apply to every LED. So that means I have 5 volts here. And then let's just talk about blue, for example. So blue is 3.2 volts. So I have 5 volts here. Blue takes 3.2 volts. And then there's a remaining voltage over the resistor. And so in order to pick the correct resistor, we can tweak the size of resistor, and that's going to determine how bright the LED is. So I've done a little bit of math, and let's just talk about it right quick. So we have our equation right here is Ohm's law. V is equal to IR. Voltage equals to current times resistance. And so we're going to find current, and then the voltage is just the input voltage subtracted from the LED voltage. So input subtracted from LED right here is going to be the voltage across this resistor, and then the voltage divided by the resistor is equal to the current, and the current right here is going to tell us how bright our LED is. So let's use blue for example. I did all the calculations, and if I use a 100 kilo ohm resistor, then my LED is going to have 1.8 milliamps going through it. And let's just talk about rule of thumb for a minute. So rule of thumb for LEDs is anything between 5 to 10 milliamps is probably going to be bright enough for your project. If you go up to 20 milliamps, most data sheets for an LED will tell you that is the maximum current. Don't put any more through it or you're going to burn the LED out. But for LEDs, the more current or milliamps, the higher that number, the shorter of the life of the LED. So if you bump that up to 20 milliamps, your LED might light, but it may only stay on for 10 minutes or so, and then it's going to burn out and you're going to kill it. So I'm going to try to get the current number right here in between 5 to 10 milliamps based off of resistors I have already next to me. So I'm going to tweak this number on, let's say I have a 2.2 kilo ohm resistor. Alright, so a 2.2 kilo ohm resistor would increase the resistance going through, and then my milliamps is going down. It's an inverse relationship. So we need to decrease what my resistor is here. So let's try 500. Okay, 500 ohm resistor still puts me around 3.6. You'll be able to see the LED, but it's not going to be very bright. So let's take it down to, maybe I have a 220 ohm resistor. Okay, that gets me around 8 milliamps. That's pretty good. So I'm going to use a blue LED with my input voltage at 5 volts and a resistor of 220 ohms. Okay, let's build the circuit. So I have all my parts here. We have the LED, resistor, Arduino Uno, breadboard, and then I'm going to use 3 wires, ground, power, and then one for signal to turn the LED on and off. So let's talk about this LED right quick. You see how inside of here we have a large plate of metal and a tiny plate of metal? Let me take you over the computer to explain how this works. So most LEDs follow this model right here, where this large piece of metal right here inside the LED goes to a short pin, which is your cathode, connects negative, which would be to ground, and then the smaller piece of metal inside the LED goes to the long pin, which is your anode, and that goes to your positive 5 volts or 3.3 volts, whatever you're powering it with. So now you understand that my low pin, my smaller pin right here, is a cathode and the longer pin is an anode. So let's connect it up. We're going to do, let's do ground first. So using my black pin, I'm going to connect it to ground on the Arduino Uno, which will be right here. Okay. And then I can connect it to ground on my breadboard right here. And remember on breadboards that power lines go up and down, that they're connected. So everything vertical here is connected on the blue line, and then everything vertical on the red line is connected vertically. But then over here in the middle, everything is connected horizontally, back and forth. Alright. So then now let's connect my 5 volts. Connect to 5 volts, Arduino Uno, and 5 volts over here, anywhere you want. Doesn't matter. So then my resistor, I'm going to make it go through ground. So right here. And I'll connect it anywhere I want to. Here. So then that's ground going through the resistor, and I'm going to have to connect it to my cathode, which is the smaller part of this. So I can just connect it like that. Just like that. Okay. And then my signal pin, I can connect it to the anode side of the LED. And just to test and make sure that the LED is actually turning on, let's go ahead and test it, and I can connect this to power, my 5 volts right here. Boom, LED is working fantastic. So that is 8 milliamps going through this LED to turn it on right now. So you could essentially change out this resistor plenty of times to make it higher or lower, and that would change the brightness of this LED. But make sure you do your math and don't ever go over 20 milliamps. So let's connect this to signal. We'll connect it to pin 13 to represent what I have in the Arduino code. So now let me put the code onto it and upload, and there you have it, your first blinking LED project. We're only going to get more complicated from here, but if you can get this basic concept down right now, you will be able to do anything. So this is a great first start, but you can do so much more with LEDs. So in my next project, we're going to connect 5 LEDs of various different colors, and we're going to show how to do all of that in code and make it look pretty. I hope you found this blinking LED tutorial helpful. If you have any questions at all or anything didn't quite get clarified, please post them in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, if you have any sweet ideas for a new project that I could create a video tutorial for, please post it in the comments and I'll whip out a new tutorial as soon as possible.